Disappointing today. I mean, 93rd minute before they registered their first shot on target. It's a game that got away from Sunderland. We'll talk about them in just a short while. He seemed very, very downbeat in that interview. I guess people read a lot into that, but for a draw at Sunderland, less for a United side, they need to be going to a place like that and expecting more. But he seemed very despondent.
Yeah, he did. He just didn't sound right. Even like, it is a good point. You know, when you don't play well, get a point. But when you're manager of Man United, you've got to come out and say, all right, it was a point, but we expect to come here and win this game, so I'm disappointed. It was like it was a good result, and it wasn't a good result. It wasn't a good performance. What it was worrying is next season. This season, I said before, once a week, once a week, once a week. Now, all of a sudden, you know, next season they're going to be in Champions League football, and their squad looks very shallow. You know, Mason Mount's playing centre midfield today with Mainu. You know, Zertsky up front. Sorry, but he's not going to do it for Man United, in my opinion, so he'll probably be moved on. So it just shows you where they are. So it'll be a worry for them. They need to invest in some players, otherwise they'll be fighting for top 4 next season.
Well, let's just pick you up, Merce, on that squad size, because it's clearly something that's going to be needed addressed. I mean, it's underlined by the fact that in the 4 games where Casemiro hasn't started, they haven't won. And, of course, he's leaving the club at the end of the season. So I guess the question is, they're going to need to do some big buying over the course of the summer. You're going to be back in the Champions League and hopefully competing on multiple fronts next season. They just haven't got that depth.
No.
So does Carrick get trusted to help bring that depth?
Well, that'll be up to the owners of the club.
Do you think he should?
For me, he's done enough to get him in this. He's got them into the Champions League. They never looked like getting in the Champions League before he come in a million years. But he's a big decision because, you know, they've got to buy a centre midfield player, top draw centre midfield player. The one that comes to mind is Anderson, but Anderson's still young. Do you know what I mean? He's played at Forest. You see him this week, the other day at Villa. Got run ragged, you know. So he's got to come here and dictate the game with Mainu. They haven't got a centre forward. I mean, Sesko plays up front, but they still need another one because Zertsky, for me, just hasn't got it, in my opinion. I think he's a nice player, but I just don't think this is the club for him. But they need to sort something out because I think next season, watching that today, and I don't want to take anything away from Sunderland because I thought Sunderland were really, really good, but they will have to invest, and I don't know how it'll work with the fair play rule, how much they can invest, but they need some players.
Well, anyone here be surprised, well, not surprised to see Carrick not in charge come the start of next season? Anyone expect him to maybe not be there next season?
I think he deserves it, but as we spoke about earlier on in the show, why has it took this long to appoint him? So there's always, I think they must be looking at other candidates and saying other people where they interview other people, but all Michael Carrick can do is do the job he's doing at the moment. Mercy's right, though. You can't be happy going to Sunderland, you're a Man United football club, and getting a 0-0. He's probably happy because he knows his team didn't play well, and he's happy to come away with a point. That's
but even if you privately think that, don't say it as United manager publicly.
Exactly. Don't say it. And then, they did have a few injuries. They missed Casemiro as well, but I think he's done a brilliant job there, but a fantastic job. But next season is when he'll be judged massively. But you wish him well, and you hope he does get the job.
We shall see. Well, let's just pick things up from a Sunderland point of view. They're on to 48 points now. It's twice the amount of points they got last time they were in the Premier League. And it's only goal difference at the moment, Merce keeping them out of the top 10. Coming into today, they lost 4 of their previous 5 at home. Their home form at the start of the season was absolutely key in terms of what they've gone on to do throughout the season. Are we seeing a return to some of that fight we saw from Sunderland in the first half of the season?
Yeah, I don't think fight, because I think they had that. I just think a little bit more fresher. I think a little bit more fresher. I thought today it's one of the best I've seen them this season, if I'm being honest. And I say that, I know they didn't win, but they were at it from word go. They put Man United under pressure. I know Man United had a couple of people out, but you're talking the team third in the league, one of the banging form teams, played with intensity. Robbie was, honestly, what a handful. What a handful. He had one mistake where he's gone for a header and he's headed it the wrong way. But, I really thought they were good today. And, I mean, Xhaka, you talk about player of the years and all that. I mean, he's got to be signing of the year, in my opinion.
Could you see him heading elsewhere? I mean, for example, could he do a job at somewhere like Manchester United?
I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. I mean, it's a bit different at Sunderland. You know, they sit back and then, then they go from a base. You know, when you're playing for Man United, you've got to take the game to teams. Man United want to sort of open the game up, and Sunderland don't play like that. They They go up the pitch together. It's very, very rare with Sunderland that it's all open play, and that's what Man United want to try and get. So, no, but I don't want to put Sunderland in it. I think he's been brilliant for Sunderland, and Sunderland have been brilliant for him, and I'd be shocked if he didn't stay there.
And I tell you what, they've got Everton away, Chelsea home, final 2 games. They've got 2 big things to play for. One is a finish in the top half. I know at one stage we're talking about Europe, but bigger than that, finishing above Newcastle.
If he's bigger than that. Yeah, that's the biggest one. If they finish above Newcastle, that would be unbelievable for Sunderland. Unbelievable.
Yeah, there's 3 points at the moment. It's Nottingham Forest away for Newcastle United tomorrow. You can see it as part of a busy Super Sunday. Meanwhile, the Saturday night football underway between Manchester City and Brentford. I know you're all keeping half an eye on this one. Clinton, has City already had a decent opportunity in the early stages?
Yeah, he's cooking any Doku at the moment on the left-hand side. Coyote, he's one-on-one with him, and he shows him inside, and he tries to bend it, and Kelleher makes a really good save, and then they get in again. Doku playing in O'Reilly, they're potent them too, and he tries to pull it back, but there's no one coming in. Reinders should have been coming in, or Cherky. Haaland was already past the 6-yard box, but yeah, they look good at the moment. But Brentford are decent though. This will be a good game, this one. Yeah,
but City at home in the Premier League, undefeated since way back in August against Tottenham Hotspur. Right, let's reflect on the game. I mean, listen, first half, particularly Dorse, Wolves offered absolutely nothing, but then again, they're down. They're relegated with 5 games to go for a play. It's hard to get yourselves up, but Brighton were at it right from the first whistle, weren't they?
They were outstanding, really, really were. I expected a response on the back of last week's performance at Newcastle, and they came out, the blocks, wow, rapid. They were on the front foot. Yes, it was gifted from Ordway. They turned the ball over in the middle of the park, Wolves, and they just pounce Welbeck into Minter. They get Mitoma, and then it comes Max de Kuiper. I have to mention him. First start since February, and he was outstanding up and down that left wing, and he dinks it towards the penalty spot. And Jack Hinchelwood, he just comes, he takes off and he leaps and bullets it into the top corner, and 1-0 up after 38 seconds. It was just one-way traffic.
Well, it's their fastest ever goal in the Premier League. Yeah. You probably won't be surprised to hear.
No, I mean, and it was just so comfortable. It was too easy. It was. I mean, they got the second goal from Lewis Duncan, in swinger from Max de Kuiper again, free header at the back post. Really, really poor from Wolves. And they never laid a glove on. It was just whatever Brighton wanted to do. They could play it slow, they could play it quick through the lines. I just thought from back to front they were outstanding. Both full-backs, they were brilliant. But they came off the gas a little bit towards the end of the first half. I expected a response from Wolves. Hugo Bueno went off and David Muller-Wolfer came on, and they came out and they had the 3 best opportunities straight after half-time. They hit the post from crossbar from Mascara and hit the post from Mane. So they had opportunities, but it was far little too late. And then they go and get the goal late on. Minte with a little bit of good play down the left-hand side. Dunk to Minter into Ruta, 1-2. A little bit fortunate, then finish it. And like you say, we listened to Lewis Dunk there. Lovely little touch. We are with you, Alfie. It was really special to see, and they send the message. Obviously, the kit man's son has had a brain tumour, had an operation. So on behalf of ourselves, we send him all the best.
Yeah, great words. What not so great for Brighton today was the sight of Karim Mitoma coming off what looked like a bad hamstring injury. I mean, for players and for international coaches as well, this is a nervous time with the World Cup just a month away. I mean, listen, we don't want to make a big judgment on it, but with a month to go, that looked a bad one.
Yeah, it did. You see a ball over the top, and we know Mitoma, he's all about the speed. He was up and down that left-hand side. He chops, he turns, and as soon as he let off, he looked like he pulled his hamstring, stopped straight away, went off. Joe Veltman came on. And what you have to realise at this moment in time, and this is why so many games can be affected, because players, if they've not got an awful lot to play for, Brighton have. They're going for European football, could be Champions League football. So you're playing, and it's in the back of your mind, a chance of going playing a World Cup. So I hope Mitoma's not too bad, because he's going to be so important for Japan. But at this moment in time, a lot of players are playing on the edge and that worry, and one eye on the World Cup.
And just bringing it back to Fabian Hirsley, as we mentioned earlier, signed that new contract, takes him through now to 2029. They go into their next round of games at the moment. 2 points off the top 6. Yep. Bournemouth still in the box seat at the moment. But, as you mentioned, and lots of people are mentioning, that could be 6th spot, potentially Champions League football. And yet, when you read some of the comments from the Brighton fans, there seems to be a split over Hirsley. Some think, great, he's signed a new contract. Others less than convinced. What does he have to do to win them all over?
I don't know what more he can do and what people expect at Brighton. I mean, they're sitting 7th. They've got an opportunity. It's only that Bournemouth are doing so well and sitting in 6th. You look at the other teams, they're far superior, far bigger clubs than Brighton. That's no disrespect. We sit on here every week and compliment the hierarchy. Tony Blue, Paul Barber, the way it's run, the recruitment, the management, all this is talked about. So you've got to realise what you've got. And I think you probably go back to a few months ago when they lose to Crystal Palace and, he was looking over his shoulder for relegation. And now sitting in 7th, sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for, because I think they've got a great young manager in charge. The players, the excitement. Yes, it was against a relegated Wolves team, but I love watching Brighton. I really do. You get entertainment, you get goals, and that's what we want.
Well, he's also got more wins than Roberto De Zerbi, albeit he's had now 4 more games in him, and his points per game is actually a little bit higher than De Zerbi's as well. But what De Zerbi had, and we're seeing it already a little bit with Tottenham Hotspur, he had that connection with the fans. Is that what Herzl is lacking at the moment, for whatever reason?
Well, it was funny because after the game, Minte was pushing him forward and he was giving it that to the fans to try. Look, all he can do is affect the players, and you can see the players are playing for him. There's no doubt about that. He's maybe pretty quiet, I always look to the manager that started doing that. It was Jurgen Klopp who brought it to the Premier League. When we finished the game, all of us, Merce will sit there and Clint, and we weren't going around fist pumping after every time you've won a game. You give a little hand clap, thank you very much. Now it's a common theme.
Yeah.
And not everyone's comfortable doing that. So you have to be your own person, and I think that's what Fabian Herzler is, and I'm a big fan of him.
And so we spoke about it earlier, but it seems extraordinary, doesn't it, that he's going to leave the club at the end of the season. Marco Rosa already in place to take over come the end of the season, already signed that 3-year deal, but could potentially be walking out on a Bournemouth who next season will be playing Champions League football. It seems amazing, doesn't it? That's possibly on the table.
Yeah, it seems absolutely bizarre, doesn't it? And what an incredible job he's done. You look at the run that they're on, 16 Premier League games unbeaten. They've only lost 7 all season. And when we look back at the start of the season, the players that they then lost Semenyo part way through, their best player. But they just seem to have got better and better. And, when you talk of good managers, you obviously talk about, can they improve players? Absolutely, he can do that. Can they develop young players? Absolutely, he can do that. Tactically, he's able to change things and tweak things. The game today was 2 evenly matched sides, but they had that sort of moment of quality from Ryan. I know it took a deflection off Bassi, which is what Marco Silva said, and I know that the sendings off probably changed things a little bit. But again, just another win, another strong performance from them, because 2 very good sides that both played lovely stuff, but maybe just lacked the end product, especially Fulham. But yeah, incredible run. And like you say, what a bizarre story. If Bournemouth get into the Champions League spots, Iriola won't be there to take them forward.
Because he would leave on a massive high.
Yeah.
But he would also leave with unfinished business.
Absolutely. And straight away, I think, I was listening to the fans and they were singing his name all the way through. They absolutely adore him and adore what he's done. Wow. But yeah, just such a well-run club. The fact that he's announced that he's leaving straight away, they know who they're going to appoint next. And that's what they do with players. We talk about very well-run clubs, and Bournemouth are right up there with that. The managers go in, they know who's going to come in next. But from him personally, you just wonder, would there be that little bit of regret if he does get them there? But yeah, outstanding from him. Just quickly, Stenhouse will get the chance to play Scottish Championship football next season, because finally they have taken care of business at home to Queen of the South. They're through on penalties in the end by 4-3, and will play Alloa Athletic for a place in the Scottish Championship next season. They beat Airdrieonians by 3-1, therefore relegating Airdrieonians. But Stenhouse-Muir through on penalties by 4-3 in the end. And Sue, just coming back to your game, because we were talking about Junior Krupi before kick-off, the 19-year-old absolutely flying at the moment. But Ryan, another 19-year-old, 3 in his last 3. Another teenager. There's some prospect. Absolutely. And like you say, we spoke about Krupi, and he had a few moments, but probably wasn't at his very best today. But he obviously went from the 10 when the sending off happened. He then went into that number 9 position because they took Ivan Nilsson off, and I think he's better just behind, isn't he, playing off the striker. But again, just show moments of quality. But Ryan, another one, like you say, youngster that's come into the league. There was a lot of talk about how good he was, and you think he's only going to get better and develop. But he's just so positive. He gets the ball and he just wants to run at players, just wants to drive. As soon as he gets an opportunity to strike, he does that. And like I say, his goal was a little bit fortuitous the way that it deflected off Bassey, but just the fact he's so confident to actually take the opportunity from there. So, yeah, like I say, again, young players that Bournemouth have identified, you see them progressing, whether they then go and move on to another club, that's usually what happens, but the way that they develop them and, you know, give them the opportunity to perform, and that's exactly what he's doing, and he'll only get better.
Just from a Fulham point of view, listen, I mean, neither manager are going to particularly argue against the sendings off, but with Ryan Christie having been sent off before half-time, Fulham are up against 10-man Bournemouth for what looks like the rest of the game. The frustration for Marco Silva, I guess, was from Anderson, a just totally unnecessary challenge. Yeah,
absolutely. And at that point, Fulham were really on top. They were really pushing to get that equaliser. And you just think, you know, Anderson just diving in like that, going over the top of the ball, and straight away it gives the referee a decision. Well, VAR in the end, the referee sort of give a yellow card for it. So, yeah, I think Marco Silva will be frustrated with that. Much better performance than against Arsenal. I know Arsenal were very good, but they didn't perform in that game much better today. And like I say, it was evenly matched. They had their opportunities. They could have equalised, but they didn't. And I think that's been Fulham's season, where they've had some good moments, but maybe just lacked that consistency. And I think, you know, they were talking then about being clinical in front of goal. They had the chance